What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. It is the 1st of December, and what better way to kick off the month than with the Polar Express palette from Nomad Cosmetics. Now, I have to admit, the brand really got me with the nostalgia on this one because the Polar Express is one of my favorite Christmas stories. I've loved it since I was a little girl. My boys have grown up loving it, and we watch the movie every single year because it's just so magical and so special this time of year. But this is going to be a 15-pan color story. It does retail for $44, and it is still currently available on the Nomad Cosmetics website. But I think the color story in here really encapsulates the movie and the story perfectly. I'm loving the combination of the cool tones and the warm tones, and personally, I'm someone who really appreciates some neutrals in a palette, and we definitely have this more neutral leaning row right here with some neutral leaning shimmers as well. So it just gives a little bit more versatility to the color story. This palette is going to include 8 mattes, 6 shimmers, and 1 multi-chrome, which is going to be the Polar Express shade right here. It's this really pretty like blue to purple multi-chrome, and I think it's stunning. I can't wait to play with it. But if you are familiar with Nomad Cosmetics, then you know that they have a cause associated with every single release that they do, and this palette is no exception. So our cause for this palette is going to be the WWF Global Arctic Program. It's to help maintain this biodiverse and resilient region, and I just love it. It's one of the many reasons that I have fallen in love with the brand over the years. But we are going to create 2 looks with this palette. I'm going to show you some comparisons to some other palettes that the brand has that I feel like has kind of a similar color story to this one, and then I'll give you my first initial impression thoughts on this palette. I will have it linked and listed down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I use in today's video to complete my look. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes, get my hair out of my face, zoom y'all in, and we're going to start creating our 2 looks. Alright, y'all, let's go ahead and create our first look. So I think what I want to do is I really want to play with like the blues and the whites and the silvers over here. I was kind of toying with the idea of doing blue and brown because I love that combination together, but I think the blue and white is going to make a stunning look. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this mid-tone blue shade right here, which is called Desert of Ice, and I'm going to pick that up with this fluffy blending brush from Ladybug Glow, and I'm just going to start to kind of fluff this in to my crease and kind of bringing it about halfway over, building up a little bit of depth and definition. I'm also going to bring it over into the outer corner as well. I don't want to bring this up too high because I do want to go back with that lighter blue shade and just kind of blend out the edges. But since it is a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter, it's got a little bit of a heavier white pigmentation to it. I think it's going to work better if I go in with that shade second. So I am just kind of packing and blending and softening the edge really, really good. That is beautiful. It is nice and pigmented, but it's not too pigmented. I'm not getting any fallout, patching, skipping, or anything. Alright, so I do want to take that shade down onto my lower lash line as well. I'm just going to kind of wrap it around my outer corner out here, bringing it about halfway over, kind of stopping where I stopped that blue shade up on my lid. Alright, so next I'm going to go into the shade North Pole up here, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO3 brush, and I'm just going to kind of very lightly fluff this along the edge of that shade that I just put down, kind of softening everything, bringing a little bit of lightness and brightness to this look. I'm also going to bring it into the rest of the inner portion of my crease. I'm not going to bring it into my inner corner though, because I want to save that for like the white or the silver, something like that, just to give a little extra pop in there. But this is such a beautiful shade, but I have to admit, once it's on the lid, I don't see a whole lot of difference between this shade and Desert of Ice. I feel like they are both very close, and maybe the shade could have been a little bit lighter, maybe more of a pastel leaning shade. It's still really pretty. I just don't know if both shades were necessary. But I am going to bring this down onto the rest of my lower lash line as well, and just kind of blend it over along that first shade that I put down. Alright, so next we're going to take the dark navy blue shade down here, which is called Frozen Sea, and I'm going to pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of depth to my outer corner over here. I don't want to take this too far over, but I'm going to take it a little far over a little further over than just the very outer corner. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit, kind of blending and zhuzhing and making sure that we don't have any harsh lines. And I am going to bring that down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. That is looking really pretty. It's giving me the depth that I want. It's not too deep, but it's just deep enough. All right, for the inner corner, I think I want to do a combination of these two shades right here, this really pretty matte white, and then this really pretty like white shimmer shade up here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the matte white, which is called Snowy Mountain, and I'm going to pick that up with a Ladybug Glow pencil brush. And I'm just going to dip my brush in there really well. And I'm just going to pop this right here on the inner corner. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I'm going to blend it up into the crease, into that blue shade that I put down. And I'm going to bring it along the lower lash line as well. That white shade is so incredibly pigmented. I was not expecting it to have that much pigmentation to it, but it is beautiful. And I like the way that it's blending into that blue. It's giving me a little bit more lightness and brightness and a little bit more of what I had expected from that other blue shade. So I'm actually going to take a little bit more of it and just kind of very lightly go right along the edge. And then once I have that shade down, I can go with swirling motion. Since I'm using the same brush, you could 100% use a different one. I'm just going to go in with swirling motions and kind of blend out and soften that edge. That is so pretty. I can't get over how pigmented that white shade is. Okay, so for all over the lid, we're gonna go into this multi-chrome shade right here called Polar Express. I've already primed my eye with my NYX glitter primer per usual, but I am gonna go ahead and pick that shade up with my BK Beauty 203 brush. I'm gonna spray it with a little bit of my MAC Fix Plus. You can really use kind of any makeup mist that you wanna use. This is just my preferred one. And I'm gonna put this all over my lid. So I'm gonna start by kind of pressing it right here in the center, bumping it up to that matte right out there and bringing it over to the inner corner, but I'm not going to bring it into the inner corner because we are going to go back in with that white shimmer shade. So I'm just going to kind of stop it right there. That is so incredibly beautiful, and it's blending into these matte shades out here beautifully. So smooth. I'm not getting any fallout with this. It's not accentuating texture. It's not going on like clumpy or thick. It just goes on nice and smooth. All right, now we're gonna go into this white shimmer shade up here, which is called All Aboard. And I'm gonna pick that up with my Sigma E33 brush. I'm gonna spray it yet again, and I'm just gonna pop this into the inner corner. And I'm also gonna kind of blend it up onto the lid as well, just so it kind of blends right into that multi-chrome that I just put down, adds a little bit of sparkle and gives me a nice seamless transition. All right, y'all, so this is the first completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out so pretty. I really love the combination of the blues with that kind of white silvery inner corner, and that multi-chrome all over the lid is just so beautiful. It's shifty, it's smooth, it's reflective, and I think it's a good addition to this palette. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look because I am testing out a couple of new products. So in the lower waterline, I went in with a Give liner. This is in the shade Bathwater. And then to line my lid, I went in with my new Cheer Yep or QianYan liquid liner. This thing is so incredibly tiny and precise, but it went on really nicely. It didn't drag. It's nice and pigmented, and I love the super thin line that I got. And for mascara, I went in with the Judy Doll mascara. This is the, what's it called? The Iron Mascara, and this is the most interesting thing I've ever used, and I'm kind of liking the way that it applied. So it has like this iron applicator to it, and it's supposed to just grab the lashes and kind of lengthen them and give them a little bit of curl at the same time. And I have to admit, I'm not mad about the way that it looks, but we'll see if I get any transfer, if it's gonna hang on as my eyes start to water and things like that. But first impression, I am really enjoying those two products. But let's go ahead and move on to our second look. So for this one, I think I want to do something a little bit more on the neutral side, maybe throw in a little pop of red. And then I'm kind of thinking of playing with this gold shade up here. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start out with this light kind of nude shade right here, which is called Nougat Candy. I love that. That's so cute. And I'm going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 201 brush. And per usual, I'm just going to start by kind of putting this right in the crease. I'm just going to kind of fluff it, blend it, bring it up towards the brow bone. This is very light. It's close to my skin tone, but it's not so close that you can't see it. This is a really good transition for my skin tone. So next I'm going to go into this mid-tone brown shade right here, which is called Hot Cocoa. And I'm going to pick that up with my same BK Beauty 201 brush that I just used. And I'm going to start to kind of build up my crease a little bit more. I'm not going to bring it up quite as high as I did that first shade. And I'm not going to quite bring it into that outer corner either. I just want to have a nice gradient and a little bit more depth in the socket of my eye. I want to go into this red shade right here, which is called Santa's Helper, and I want to put this in the outer corner of my lid. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 206 brush, and I'm just going to kind of build up my outer corner like I just said, add a little bit of pop of color to this look. I'm going to kind of wing this out just a little bit and blend it into that last shade that I put down called Hot Cocoa to give me sort of like a neutral look with a little pop of warmth out here in the outer corner. I'm also going to bring this down onto the lower lash line as well and just kind of bring it as far over as I did on my lid. I want to build up just a little bit of depth in this outer corner, so I'm going to go into this really dark brown shade down here, which is called Dark Forest, and I'm going to pick this up with my Singe Beauty EO2 brush, and I'm just very lightly going to put this in the very outer corner of my lid. I don't want to bring it too far over because I don't want it to overtake that red shade that I just put down. I just want to have that little bit of depth, so I'm just going to kind of tap it right there. I'm going to bring it down onto the very outer corner of my lower lash line as well, and just kind of blend it and zhuzh it and make sure that we don't have any harsh lines. But I am going to go back with that red shade just to kind of reiterate it and blend that out a little bit. So I'm going to go and pick up my brush and just put a little bit more right here over top just to kind of blend it, because I'm not really trying to get that brown shade to show up too much. I just want to add that little bit of depth out here. Alright y'all, so for all over the lid, I want to go into this really pretty gold shimmer shade up here, which is called Christmas Carol. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up once again with my BK Beauty 203 brush that I just wiped off really, really well. I'm going to spray this with my Matte Fix Plus, and I'm going to pop this all over my lid, and I am going to bring it over to the inner corner, but once again, not into the inner corner. And I do think I want to bring this down onto the lower lash line as well, just kind of in the center, just kind of spotlighting a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and blend it into that matte the best that I can. We're going to have to go in with something else to kind of blend those two shades together. But for now, this is what we're looking like, and that's going on really, really nicely. Alright, to bring that down onto the lower lash line, I just picked up a little bit on this Ladybug Glow Smudger brush, and I am just kind of smudging it along my lower lash line. Again, bringing it over to my inner corner as well, but really kind of concentrating it more so on the center. Alright, so next I'm going to take a little bit of this red shimmer shade right here, which is called Believe, and I'm going to pick that up on my BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it once again, and I'm going to use this as kind of like my blending shade for that matte and that shimmer. So I'm just going to press this right here where those two shades meet, and then just kind of blend them together so we don't have that harsh line and everything just kind of flows from the matte to the shimmer. And I'm just going to kind of work my brush back and forth, making sure that we are nicely blended. Alright, to finish this look off, we're going to go into the shade up here, which is called Mr. C. It's this really pretty kind of like champagne gold shade, and we're going to put that in the inner corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. Again, I'm going to spray it per usual. If you've been paying attention, then you know that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to pop this right here on the inner corner to add a little bit of lightness and sparkle. Alright y'all, so this is the second completed look with this palette, and I think this one turned out beautiful as well. This one is giving holiday glam without being too over the top holiday. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm loving that gold shade with the combination of the red and that kind of champagne-y shade on the inner corner. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn the lights down, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then get into our comparisons. So in the lower lash line, I went in with my Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner in the shade Cinnamon, and then I lined my lid once again with that same QianYan liquid liner, and then for mascara I went in with the Judy Doll mascara once again. Alright y'all, so before I give you some of my thoughts on this palette, I wanted to show you another one that I have in my collection from the brand that I feel like has a very similar vibe to this one, and that is going to be the Whistler Snow Lodge palette. Now this one came out about 2 or 3 years ago at this point, and I love this palette. The color story is so beautiful. It's like the perfect winter color story, but you can see it has a very similar vibe with the cool tones and the warm tones. The biggest difference between this one and the Polar Express palette, in my opinion, is going to be these green shades right here. But let me show you what these two palettes look like side by side so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's the two palettes. We've got Polar Express on top and Whistler Snow Lodge on the bottom, and you can see there's definitely a lot of similarities going on. It's kind of hard to tell because of the way that the Whistler Snow Lodge palette is laid out in comparison to this one up here, but you definitely have more of your brown neutral shades, you have some beautiful blues, you have more like red purple leaning shades, this gold, this white, very similar shades. Obviously it's not going to be spot on. Personally, I like the blues in the Whistler Snow Lodge palette better, but everything else I like in the Polar Express palette better. Plus you have a very improved formula compared to this one down here, but I'm just saying if you have this one in your collection, you may not necessarily need this one unless you want to upgrade, get the more updated 2024 version of this palette and the better formula. Alright y'all, so based off of first impression, I really like this palette. I think Nomad did a really good job with the theming of this one. I love the cover art with the Polar Express, the first gift of Christmas right here, and just the attention to detail in the artwork on this one. The color story is beautiful as well. I think they did a really good job emulating the color story in the movie and kind of bringing the story to life. And I also really love the attention to detail with the embossing on the colors in here and the names as well. Now as far as the color story goes, like I said, I think it's absolutely beautiful. I do still stand by the fact that I don't think we needed both of these shades in this palette because they did come off very similar on my lid. Now I do want to go back and start with this shade and then deepen it with this shade, and maybe we'll get a little bit more contrast, but keep in mind this is going to be a first initial impression review. It's not going to be a final review of this palette. But as far as the formula goes in here, I didn't have any issues as far as patching, skipping, fallout, building up the shades, blending them out, or anything like that. They were very smooth and easy to work with on the lid, and I thought the shimmers were absolutely beautiful as well. I did get a little bit of fallout with this gold shade right here, but it was when I went in on my lower lash line, so I probably should have gone in with like a glitter primer down there first, maybe sprayed my brush a little bit better, because when I added it on my lid I didn't get any fallout. But they're all very smooth, they don't accentuate texture, they don't feel heavy, they're not glittery or chunky or like super textured or anything like that. And I think this multi-chrome right here in the middle is so incredibly beautiful and shifty, and it's a great addition to this palette. Overall, like I said, I think they did a really good job, and I really enjoyed playing with this one, and I cannot wait to create more looks with it. But that is going to complete this video. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you picked it up, which look was your favorite. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation, light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.